Hey everybody, welcome to Mojave World Headquarters. We have a special guest today. George Whittam is here, George the Tech. George and I are actually old friends, but it's kind of been a minute since we connected. We reconnected at the NAMM show this year.
We did. We get to reconnect at NAMM. Thanks for NAMM being able to come back and to be in person again.
Right.
But yeah, you were gracious enough to be a supporter of the Don LaFontaine VoiceOver Lab way back when we were first calling out for support. I was asking vendors in the area, especially local vendors, if they were interested in helping the lab with in-kind donations of microphones, and you stepped up.
Yeah, the lab's a great place, and I want to get to that, but let's just talk a little bit about what you do.
You got it.
I've got my notes here, so
all right, we'll stay on topic.
Here. Since 2005, George has dedicated his career to serving the technical needs of voice actors and recording studio owners. In 2017, George launched GeorgeTheTech.com to assist anyone who records voiceover with tech support, training, studio design, and audio processing templates. And you do a podcast and a video podcast.
Yeah, we got
all
VOBS,
about voiceover.
.tv. We've got Dan and I do that together. You'll get to check out a segment we shot right here on our show later.
Cool.
And then I'm also on an audio, like a purist podcast, if you want to call it that, called the Pro Audio Suite. Pure audio, edited, the opposite of our show. We go really geeky and we really edit, and VOBS is more of like a talk show. It's more dynamic and more energetic.
Right. I was just checking out the last one where you broke open the MA50, so we'll put up a link for that.
There's more testing to come, for sure.
Great. Well, you're kind of like my technical pipeline to the VO world. We have a lot of VO users, but it's not my background. My background's more music recording.
Sure.
So I'm fascinated by the world of VO because it's very specialized.
As was mine. My background's in music and live sound, and yeah.
Right. So how did you get into the voiceover world?
Yeah, it was not on the roadmap at all. When I was living on the East Coast, I was in the Philadelphia area, and I was trying to run a recording business. I had a remote recording studio truck for doing remotes, and I had just a smattering of business, and I was working in the music store. My dad was a manager, and I was doing audio consulting lately. I was doing sound system rentals, that kind of stuff.
Right.
But everything was around audio. Everything I was doing, for the most part, was around audio. Then, bizarrely, a girlfriend was like, I'm moving to LA, or moving to California. Do you want to come or not? And I was like, okay, let's just go for this. It wasn't on the roadmap, but I just, sometimes the wind blows and you go with the wind, and I ended up in LA. And I was in production sound for a minute.
Right.
For about 2 years, I was doing boom opping and the whole nine, just trying to make a business out of it.
Film and TV.
Yeah, because in my mind, LA was a music business, but for whatever reason, I felt like the film sound was an easier thing to crack into. I don't know why I thought that, but at the time, I felt like I had a better way of connecting with that industry. Maybe
I think part of it's the grass is greener, because all of us studio music guys think, God, I should have gone into film and TV. That's where the money is.
Right, exactly.
They have unions and benefits and stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know how true that is.
Well, there's a little bit truth to that. Yeah. So I worked in that field for a while, but then I still had a foot in the radio world, because I was a radio engineer for a while, doing the Eagles football games.
Oh, cool.
Doing the radio side of that. And through that station, which is now 94 WIP, it was WYSP, I met a producer who then went on to become a massive success in voiceover named Howard Parker. Mm-hmm. I call him Client Zero.
Right.
Because he's literally the guy that started this whole thing for me. And so through all of his management saying, this guy did a good job for me, hey, you should check out this guy George. Then I worked with a bunch of others of his other colleagues of his, competitors, whatever you want to call it, other voice actors. Through that network, I eventually met an engineer who worked with Don LaFontaine all the time, named Steve Nafshin. Steve's like, go help out Don. His studio's got a buzz in it. We need to sort this out. I said, who's Don? He said, you'll know. And I went to his house, and I was like, whoa, this guy's successful.
Right. Okay, so for our viewers who don't know who Don LaFontaine is.
Yeah, I did. Well, I didn't know either.
Tell us who he is.
I go into his studio. He says, just a second, I got to do a quick spot here. And he goes into his booth to do an ISDN session. and it was the movie trailer for the Simpsons movie.
Oh, wow.
And the second you hear the guy's voice in context,
Right.
it was like,
Oh, it's that guy.
it's that guy.
Right.
The guy who's done movie trailers on Die Hard movies, and I think he did over 5,000 trailers, something like that. You know?
Instantly recognizable
Instantly
voice.
recognizable voice, right? And so over time, I did I did a studio renovation, redid his whole studio. It was all kind of aging equipment.
Right.
He had a video side. I helped him redo the video side of the studio. And he said, you know what, there's just, the guys that installed this, they just disappeared. Nobody wanted to continue helping me or supporting me.
Right.
And I listened. I was like, holy cow, this is an underserved area. I need to focus on this.
Right.
And that's kind of how it worked. I started selling off a lot of my other gear, my live music, I sold a lot of gear to help support building this new business. And it started out as Eldorado Recording Services, then it changed into VO Studio Tech. Then I ended up working for another company for a while. Now 2017, I left the company, hit the ground running again, and that's when George the Tech was born. But I've just been supporting voiceover actors in tech ever since.
Right. Right. Tell us a little bit about the institute, the studio.
Oh yeah. So because I got to be so close to Don, he passed way too early, and I became very close to Don. I became friends. I would hang out with him and help him edit videos and things. And when he passed, he and two very close friends of his, Paul Pape and another voice actor, Joe Cipriano, they wanted to do something in Don's name. And they went to the SAG Foundation, now SAG-AFTRA, and said, what do you think about building a studio, a place for people to learn? Not just a commercial studio, this is a learning space, a lab. And through a year or two of work and dedication, we built the lab. I was the designer.
Right.
I did it pro bono. I just wanted to be in support. It was trial by fire. I'd never done anything of that scale before, commercial studio like this, and it came out okay. So well that it's going to be living on in a new form at some point.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I
In
don't
the
have
same
any
place?
I don't
or-
have details, nor am I at liberty to share anything yet.
Well,
But it's going to be living on, and it's gonna be living on for a very, very long time.
Great, because I mean, the studio you built, the one that I went to, and it's been a while, but it's in the SAG-AFTRA building, right?
It's in the SAG-AFTRA building.
Los
and
Angeles.
It was shoehorned into this like unused space called the mezzanine.
Right.
You know, with pretty low ceilings, and we made it work. And again, it was a learning lab first, and really that was what it was about, and it did what it was supposed to do. And I think over 5,000 or 6,000 actors have gone through that lab, been certified to record themselves there because there's a self-record booth.
Oh, cool.
They take classes there. It's all been virtual since the pandemic. Hopefully, we'll go back to in person again. Yeah, and it's still alive and kicking 11 years later, which is amazing. And it spurred another lab in New York.
Oh, cool.
Under a different name,
Right.
but there's a mirror image, like almost a duplicate of this lab in New York City at the SAG offices, right across from Lincoln Center.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
And it works the same way. That it's free
Essentially
for members.
works the same thing. It's a free
Right.
for SAG-AFTRA members, exactly.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, you'll have to keep us posted on this new thing so that we can get a little,
I believe
little Mojave
I'm
love in
dying to be able to start telling everybody about the project, but it's not been announced officially.
there. Well,
yet.
we'll be here. Cool. So I'm curious, in your business, I mean, I know you work with top people, but what percentage of your business is like brand new people? Hey, I want to get into voiceover. What do I do?
Not that many. Not that many come to me who are really truly new to voiceover.
Right.
And that might be for a few reasons. You know, I price myself as a consultant at kind of a premium price point. That might be part of the reason.
For professionals, right?
Yeah. But I do get them occasionally. Sometimes they come to me. It's maybe their second, third, fourth career.
Right.
Well, I was a school teacher. Then I was an IT pro. Then I ran a company, and then I sold it. And now I want to do voiceover.
Right.
That does happen more often than you'd think. And they have a budget, and they want to do something pretty serious. But a lot of people come to me with just basic needs. They're in a closet. They need a good sounding mic, and they need how to get a good sounding recording in that little funky space.
Right.
And I've been doing that, helping people with practical solutions for less than ideal situations. I feel like all my life, from doing live sound to doing remote recording in weird random spaces, it's all been about improvising and figuring out how to get good sound out of a less than ideal situation.
Yeah, because it seems like from my experience with VoiceOver, it would be pretty rare that you just had carte blanche to like build the perfect VO booth. It's usually limited by, well, I want it in my house, or it needs to go here. It's got to fit in this space. I'm curious how much you encounter that.
It's almost always, I have this one space to record and we have to make it work.
Right.
But occasionally it's like, I have moving houses, so now I want to find the right space in the new place.
Right.
And they always want to go into a closet, and I try to encourage them not to.
Right.
Unless they absolutely have to for noise reasons, if it's the quietest place.
Right.
Yeah, and then we start from there, and we come up with a plan, and it could be something really cost effective. It could be full-on construction.
Right.
It could be a prefabricated isolation booth.
Right.
That's the best solution.
I know there's some nice ones out there.
There are more now
Whisper.
options than ever.
Right.
And some of them are better than others acoustically. And I've also gotten really into tuning these oftentimes not so acoustically great spaces and trying to make them sound better.
Right.
It's not easy to make a little box that's 3 by 5 feet by the 7-foot ceiling sound, neutral.
Right.
They always have a sound, a boxiness or whatever. And so that's something I've really tried to focus on specializing in the last so many years because it's in demand.
Right. So when you do get somebody who's just like fresh out of the box contact you, what's your first piece of advice?
First piece of advice
go to the closet.
Let's find the quietest place in the home.
Right.
Let's figure out what's a practical way to acoustically treat it, because it really starts with acoustics. As you guys are well aware,
Right.
we are sitting in a very well acoustically treated space right now. Somebody came in here and said, this is what we need to do. It's the same thing. We start with good sounding space.
Right.
Then we come up with equipment that's going to be easy to use, fits their budget, and will get consistent professional results that do not have a lot of bells and whistles, not too complicated.
Keep it simple.
Oh, keep it simple.
Right.
Dan's sitting right over there, my partner on the show. He knows, and he always talks about keep it simple, but it's keep it simple. We really like that philosophy. Then as you build your career and you start actually booking jobs, you're not just doing 20 to 40 auditions a day, as many people do, and you start booking, then you go, okay, I've been doing fine with that cheap mic I've had for a while. It served me. I want to reward myself and get a better mic.
Right.
So then, we look at other options and, what's the next level? Where would you go from here? What's going to make your life better? And that's kind of how things progress.
Right.
And then now it's like, how are you connecting? Are you just recording and sending the files on your own, or are you being live directed?
Right.
How are you going to be directed? Are you using Zoom? Or are they going to live record you, which is, to me, the most challenging part for an actor, technically. It's not the most challenging part to be the actor. It's actually great because you don't have to engineer.
Right.
But you have to have the best space, the quietest space. I like to call it quiet on demand.
Right.
Because the session's being recorded somewhere else real time.
Right.
Commonly it's Source Connect. It could be a number of web-based, Chrome-based tools.
Right.
And those are the ones where the studio has to be fantastic, because you're basically an extension. Your studio at home is an extension of that commercial studio somewhere else that's booking you to bring you in.
Right.
So you all have to work together.
Yeah, you might as well be where they are. You're just your room has been moved over here, but it's connected with their facility.
And the pandemic is just taking that concept and then spread it out over the whole industry, even in animation and video game stuff,
right.
Which would normally be done right here in Burbank and all around here. A lot of that started moving into the home studio. So the demand for a good home studio for a whole new segment of the business popped up out of nowhere.
Did you see with COVID, just overall demand go up? Like more people saying, I want to get into voiceover.
I saw it acutely. Sales went up, and then I saw the mirror side of that, which was 2022, when everything kind of normalized.
Right.
And then we have what's going on now economically.
Right.
So things went like this.
Yeah.
And now things are starting to recover slowly, but It's been a roller coaster ride. Let's just put it that way.
Right.
Watching the industry change, grow, shrink, more people get in, more people needing things. Then everybody's now set up, and now we're everybody's kind of coasting and cruising.
Right. Right. They spent that COVID money, and
They spent those COVID checks, bought their Mojave mics, and now
Right.
they're good.
now they're good.
Everything's working.
Right.
So let's just go with that. So so evolving of the business, growing my team. Actually Dan from VOBS, he's actually one of the people that might answer the phone if you call, because we have like literally a hotline now for tech support,
Right.
which has been years in the making. But you can call 424-226-8528. Press number 9, and you can be patched through to a tech within 2 to 5 minutes.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that's been
That's
years
great.
in the making, and I've got all these amazing guys like myself that have a lot of the same knowledge, skills, and experience, including Robert Marshall, the co-developer of Source Connect himself, Tim Friedlander of Soundbox LA, Andrew Feliciano, who owns Voice Tracks West. All these guys, they might answer the phone when you call because they're all part of my on-call
Your network.
support
That's
network.
awesome.
Yeah, which
That's great.
has been huge. So
Do you get people sending you like samples saying, "Can you listen to what I'm doing and tell me what I need to fix or whether it's working?" Do you get a lot of that?
yeah, that's like the simplest and the least expensive way to start working is just to get a sound check.
Right.
I call it sound check. If you look on my tech menu on the georgethe.tech website, you'll see a sound check option. That's the most logical place to start if you don't know what to do.
Oh, that's
If
a
you've
great
already
service.
got a mic and you've got something to record with, just start there. Send me some room tone, send me your voice, and I will take a look, listen to it, and from a very objective point of view, I'll just tell you where you're at. Your noise floor is okay, but there's a lot of rumble.
Right.
Your mic technique sounds like the mic's in a bad mic technique. It's too far away.
Right.
You might be talking to the back of your mic.
Right.
You wouldn't believe it. There's a lot of
Oh,
little
I would
things.
believe it.
Yeah, you
I
believe
believe
it. Yeah, this mic doesn't sound right. Which side of the mic are you talking into?
Right.
That's the kind of thing you would do with a sound check. Exactly. That's a good starting point.
What about software? Where do you guide people to, that are starting out?
Good question. We love keeping it simple, as I said.
Right.
So if you're on the Mac platform, and you should be, okay, we're a little biased. I love Apple for stability, simplicity, etc. But anyway, if you're on Mac, we really love Twisted Wave, which is it's this really interesting program because it's really niche, and it's not niche in that it doesn't have a lot of capabilities. It's virally marketed. He doesn't pay for marketing. He's just word of mouth.
Right.
But we've been loving it in the voiceover business for more than 12 years. Yeah, long time, and we've been loving it. And it's an incredible application. It's simple and easy to use.
Yeah, I saw you once in a while you do a seminar about Twisted Wave. That's
Yeah, I do webinars on Twisted Wave. I teach Adobe Audition. I teach a few other apps that I think are useful for voiceover.
right.
I shy away from things that I think are overly complicated for voice actors, such as Pro Tools,
Right.
Logic, multi-track production tools that have a whole complexity based around the monitoring and
Right.
that stuff that gets in the way. I tend to shy away from.
Yeah, I'm an old Pro Tools guy because I come from the old analog.
I
And
have
my
voice
wife,
act- yeah.
my wife does a little bit of voiceover work. That's not her main thing, but she does do some. She was an actress and
Oh, yeah.
does stand up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So when I'm her engineer, of course.
Yeah, of
And I
course.
do it on Pro Tools.
Of course.
Because that's what I know.
That's
And
what
it's
you
like,
know.
oh God, this is way overkill for what we're doing here. It's really taken the long way to get there.
It got less worse when they had offline bounce, and I was like, finally, I
Right.
can just bang out a file and move on.
Right.
But yeah, it's always been a little overbearing. So I like the really simple mono wave track editors. It's destructive, but it's efficient.
Right.
I'm like, Pro Tools is a Swiss Army knife. Twisted Wave is a switchblade
Right.
or a scalpel.
Got it. What do you think about
Switchblade's a little violent. Let's call it a scalpel.
a scalpel?
It's one really precise, fast tool. Yeah.
Right. What do you think about plugins like Isotope?
Well, Isotope is an obvious, big seller
Right.
for voiceover because of mouth declick.
Uh-huh.
A colleague of ours, Don Barnes, he's been involved with them for a long time, and he helped develop this plugin. They specifically for mouth noise. But we've been using declickers for years. Whatever tool has a declicker, we've been using it.
Right.
Audition, Audacity. But yeah, Isotope is huge. RX9, very efficient.
Yeah.
The editor on it is great for people that are doing, having to produce a lot of files quickly with the exact same levels. That's a big thing. Like audiobooks, people need to pump out a ton of files all with the same exact RMS levels. Things.
Right.
It makes it easy to do that. So that's a biggie. Recently, Waves Clarity VX is this new plugin that is mind-blowing in terms of its ability to separate the voice from the background noise.
Oh, wow.
Not just like room tone, but like airplanes, sirens, other random stuff.
Wow.
It can through this neural network learn what's the voice and then subtract it from the background in a almost science fiction kind of way. It's freaky.
Right.
And so people are learning what they can get away with now a little bit more.
Right.
We've been preaching obviously good acoustics, quiet room, all these things are what's key. But for voiceover, unfortunately, so much of them are they're demanded upon at random times, random locations, while they're on vacation. Can you do this one thing? Or
Right.
as soon as you book a trip, now we need this. And we always say, if you want to get work, book a trip, book a vacation.
Right.
And so that's what happens. So they're having to work in these really less than perfect environments. And then in terms of like other ways to support actors, I helped a voice actor develop a product called the Tri-Booth, which is a folding portable voiceover booth.
Oh, cool.
Comes out of a suitcase or a duffel bag. And it's not like what we developed is unusual, but we just wanted it to be really easy to build and really easy to transport. And it's based on very simple concepts, but that in conjunction with a few plugins and some good technique, it's amazing what you can pull off in bad locations
Right.
in terms of sound quality these days.
We have a mutual friend, Debbie Derryberry, who's a star
Don't we all, Dan?
of the voiceover. We love
She
you,
works
Debbie.
with
We
Dan.
love you. I got to produce her band's album like 20 years ago, so that's how far we go back.
What's she called?
Honey
again?
Pig.
Honey Pig, yeah,
Yeah.
Honey Pig.
Right. So we go way back. We've reconnected, and
Oh,
you
cool.
know, she's starting to wanting to travel more, and she
Yeah.
works all the time. So she's
Yeah.
got a portable rig. She needs to check out your deal.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you know, Debbie's pretty small physically,
I
and
know.
she uses like a kid's tent that she
Yeah.
just sets up in her hotel
Yeah.
room, and that's her portable booth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And my partner Dan's been helping her too with coming up with like portable equipment that works well for travel. And,
Right. Well, she
you
has
know.
a Mojave in that bag.
How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? It's like at the end of the day, people at Debbie Derryberry's level have to still be accessible while they're traveling, and almost nobody gets a true vacation
Right,
anymore, unless most of what you do is like corporate training, e-learning, audiobooks. That stuff's more
You can schedule
scheduled
that,
out.
right.
But the other stuff is more like we need it today. We need it in an hour. We need it in 10 minutes. We need it. It's very, very on demand.
Yeah, I worked on doing music for movie trailers for a while when I still had a studio. And it used to just drive me nuts because it always happened at the
Everything was
worst
instant.
time, and we need it by 7
Yes.
tomorrow morning.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Click. Well, so George, thanks for coming by. This is all
Yeah.
like really, for me, especially personally, it's very fascinating. But I know for a lot of our viewers out there and Mojave fans, this is some really useful stuff. And invite you to go to George's website, which is georgethe.tech.
Tech. My name is my address.
Right. And go there. There's a ton of, I was on there this morning kind of getting ready for this interview. There's a ton of useful stuff on there. And they're very easy to get to, so you can get expert advice from the top for your voiceover journey.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, buddy.
I mean, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
And it's not been a long time all at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm glad we got to see each
Well,
other.
LA is the world's largest small town, so.
It is really true. It is really
Yeah.
true. It's been a pleasure, man. It's so
You
cool
bet.
to stay connected to you guys.
Yeah, and let us know how we can help with the studio whenever the next version of it is. We want to be involved.
I will let you know.
Cool. All right, folks. Adios. See you next time. Hey, folks, just want to let you know that before we shot this interview, George actually did a walkthrough of Mojave World Headquarters with me. That's going to be up this Sunday on VoiceOver Body Shop on VOBS.tv.
That's
So
right.
check it out.